Journalists are storytellers. Whether you choose the profession or journalism chooses you, you will inevitably end up trying to figure out how to portray a certain truth of a matter.
That's a question. Every good story has to start with a question.
Recently, Wits University hosted a power reporting conference where investigative reporters from across the African continent gathered for a boot camp of sorts in investigative journalism.
Investigative journalism is a key element in the accountability both of the government and the private sector, of all people with power and authority in our society. And what we're doing is giving people the tools to hold people accountable, to expose wrongdoing when it happens, corruption, or mismanagement, or environmental damage, health issues, all of that. The tools we give people are to dig deeper, to expose what people don't want exposed.
Power reporting is part of a global network of investigative journalists who hold conferences across the world.
The advice I would give to any investigative reporter, especially a young investigative journalist who wants to travel this path, I would say no story is worth your life, but trust your instinct. I've made certain mistakes. The last investigation I made certain mistakes, and in my session yesterday I had to highlight some of the mistakes that others should learn from it. Don't be overconfident, don't underrate anyone. I underrated the final group I traveled with, and it turned out to be worse than even the devil himself.
With the digital age, we have seen many new forms of journalism on the rise, with data journalism an essential tool in any present newsroom. Data journalism is a speciality which reflects the increased role in which numerical data is used in the production and distribution of information.
Today we've shown people that it's not at all difficult. You see it's a bunch of numbers, then you get intimidated. I think as a journalist, besides, even if it is difficult, as long as it's going to give you a good story, I think it's worth a try. I don't think anything as a journalist should be easy in the first place, but it's not at all difficult, data journalism. It's not even supposed to be separately data journalism. It's still the journalism that you do every day, and this is just an extra tool. So it becomes not just data journalism, but data-driven storytelling. You're still telling a story. Any techie can work with data and give you results, but it takes the journalist to be able to tell a story out of that data.
I think it's crucial. I think the role that it plays is not big enough at the moment. So especially when, from my perspective, in any case, when we're covering science-related stories, climate change, environmental kind of stuff, technology, things like that, it's journalists are not using enough data, if I can put it that way. We need to develop more data skills. We need to open up the possibilities of doing multimedia stories. I think editors need to get on board to really give journalists a space to explore and play. I think the new forms of data journalism and digital storytelling is not a science. We don't know exactly where we're going with everything, and there needs to be opportunity for journalists to really play and to experiment. And so that's what I would advocate for.
In South Africa, we've had very good years in the last decade. We've had a great deal of freedom. We've had a number of investigative teams doing very powerful work. And there's been a range of exposés about a whole range of subjects that have been very important in our democracy. I'm a bit concerned that some of those teams are no longer operating, that cutbacks in newsrooms are putting a squeeze, making it harder for that work to be done. Investigative journalism is important, but it's expensive and it takes time. And sadly, many of the owners and the editors don't always see the value and the business case for doing original, powerful investigative stories.
Wits University recently won the rights to host the Global Investigative Conference in 2017, which will see investigative journalists from over 120 countries travelling to Johannesburg to share vital skills with each other. For SABC Digital News at Wits University, I'm Nina Oosthuizen.